radio.
Now he'll run it with a block. Splits. Bohannon! Touchdown, Baylor!
Our Sugar Bowl coverage is brought to you by Ideal MRI, Edward Jones Investments agents Ben Erlinson, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The Willis Law Firm. American Bank. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Genco Federal Credit Union. Camille Johnson Realtors. Automatic Chef Canteen. BetUS.com. Coach's XXX Smoke Barbecue. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
As we come back, Alabama's Ja'Cory Brooks just caught a 44-yard touchdown for Bryce Young, 16-3. Alabama has the extra point to come. Good afternoon. We're live in New Orleans at the Media Hotel, the Marriott in the Arts District on Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports, and joined now by Neil McCready, RebelGrove.com, covers Ole Miss, and we've had Neil on before throughout this season in which they're trying to break a threshold. Baylor trying to win 12 games for the first time, and Ole Miss 11 for the first time. And Neil, thanks for your time. It seems like we're going to get to this game in a couple of weeks if you just never know. In the end, how does Ole Miss win? Is it the tempo, the offense? Is that the key for them tomorrow night?
Yeah, I thought Dave Aranda sort of nailed it earlier in the week when he talked about how important red zone opportunities were going to be. I think realistically, both teams are going to move the football. They have all season. They probably will again tomorrow night. And it's going to come down to who can cash in the end zone and who has to settle for field goals. And then, look, a big part of what Baylor has done this season, Jeff Levy talked about it yesterday, was Baylor has created a ton of turnovers. I think Levy said he thought it was the biggest reason that, but Baylor got to this spot, 11-2, Big 12 champs, was the fact that they created turnovers. And this is an Ole Miss team that got to this point by not having a lot of turnovers. It was the big storyline with Matt Corral coming into the season, and he limited his mistakes dramatically, and they don't turn the ball over much. So a lot of times when those kind of things happen, something's got to give, and probably whoever gives in that regard is going to lose the game. Whoever is able to sort of maintain that through the course of tomorrow night will win it.
Neil, has anything, since they announced this game, changed your perspective on how it would go? Or is it pretty much what you thought as soon as they announced it, nothing's changed?
Yeah, nothing's really changed. Ole Miss has had some coaching stuff happen with Jeff Levy going to Oklahoma, but he came back for the prep, and he'll be at the game tomorrow night calling plays. And, Matt Corral played as I expected he would. And, Baylor, I think, you look at a lot of these games, like you look at the game last night, the Peach Bowl, where, the kid for Pittsburgh didn't play and Walker didn't play for Michigan State. You sort of wonder whether those were the real teams that got through the course of the season. I think Baylor's excited to be in New Orleans. I think Ole Miss is super excited to be in New Orleans. So, look, guys, I think outside of the playoff games, this has a chance to be the most entertaining of the big bowl games, certainly, and maybe one of the most entertaining of the bowl games, period. I mean, it's a really fun matchup, and two teams that can score a lot of points and two teams that do a lot of things well, and two teams that are really excited to be there with a lot in their minds to play for.
Neil, Dave Aranda mentioned earlier today that they're not expecting, many, guys missing this game. They're expecting to have pretty much everybody available. I know Ole Miss also didn't have, any opt-outs like Baylor, but health-wise, is Matt Corral, better than he's been the last few times we've seen him as far as health? And how about the rest of the team in terms of the important guys who maybe were question marks that are going to be, in a lot better shape in this game?
Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Lane Kiffin's pretty buttoned up when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, what you saw this week is what we've dealt with for 2 years. Yeah. But if you talk to people internally, they'll tell you this is as healthy as they've been. If there are guys that are out, I'm not aware of it. And, Braylon Sanders, the wide receiver who's battled knee injury and shoulder injury pretty much all season, said this is as healthy as he's been. He's noticed guys running around, bouncing around, and I anticipate offensively this is certainly as healthy as they've been probably since the opening game, and defensively they've been pretty healthy all year. And now they've had a month to to get pretty healthy. So, yeah, I think they're pretty close to 100% going into this game against Baylor.
Do you guys get a lot of sub 5-minute press conferences like we had today with Lane?
Yeah, so here's what's happened, guys. It's really funny. I think we on the beat, and this is, I don't know whether this just speaks to our common sense or maybe we're quitters. You realize after a while that you're not going to get it. And so you can just hammer at it for the sheer sake of hammering at it, or you can just go out of hell with it. And I think we've kind of hit the all to hell with it. Like today, we were 5 minutes in, and I was like typing something else, and I realized, oh my God, is he going to get off without us asking about the whole coordinator thing? And I couldn't hit the raise your hand button faster on Zoom. And then I asked, and you heard the answer. The answer was a nothing answer. It's just Lane does this thing, and this is going to sound like a criticism, and I've been really clear about this for 2 years. There are a handful of coaches who can get away with this, and he's one. And he doesn't need local media, and he can get national media. He can get on the Rich Eisen show. He can get on the Dan Patrick show. Now, look, when you're 8th in the country and you're 10-2, and your only losses were Alabama and Auburn, you can do that. Let them go 7-5, where you're trying to, go to the Music City Bowl, and all of a sudden Rich Eisen might not want you on the show that day. So, I'll say this: those of us on the beat have been like, man, you guys, Aranda gives like these long, thoughtful, sincere answers, and we're like, how does this work? But it's just what Lane does. He has no interest in local media. He doesn't care anything about it. He doesn't feel like he needs it. And to his credit, I guess, he's been really consistent about it. That's kind of what happens throughout the season. Now, we'll have some where if you ask some big picture questions about playoff, expanded playoff, about conference realignment, about things of that nature, you'll get some really long, thoughtful answers. But if you're asking him about, health of his team or what's their COVID status or a specific injury or something, you get nothing.
Yeah, that's interesting about the national perspective. He can get that, but yeah, you're right. You start to have a blip on the radar here and there, man. You might need that support, and not that you're going to be there because you're local to support him. You're going to tell the truth, but that Aranda has become, and it was tough because the first year was COVID. And I think a lot of us had to learn his thesaurus. We had to learn his mind. And
I think he did too.
Yeah,
I think he needed to learn how to deal with the media.
I think it was hard for him and he's mentioned this, we'd rather not. It's not so that he would rather not because he's arrogant or distant or aloof. He never had to very much as a coordinator. And now I think he's becoming as comfortable, and you can even almost hear it in his voice how much stronger it is because he's always been a soft-spoken guy. So, yeah, we're pretty fortunate to see him grow in just a year with what he is as a press conference guy.
Well, I don't just say this to say it. I didn't, obviously, I covered the SEC, and so I watched Baylor over the course of the season because I knew they were a really good team, but I didn't pay a ton of intimate attention to Baylor. There was really no reason to. They are as impressive a program from a talking to the kids and the coaches as I've been around in a long time.
I agree. I think, and I think
great
that's
compliment.
I think, I'll pass that along, Neil. By the way, and I think that's kind of the culture of the team and who they've become, and kind of how they've handled this game, whether or not whoever wins the game tomorrow. Do you know any kind of ideas what they're going to do at offensive coordinator? Have you heard much at all on that?
Charlie Weiss.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. That's right. The Weiss thing. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just went blank on that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So they hired Weiss, and the rumor here, and I don't believe it to be rumor. I believe there's a lot of truth to it. The rumor here is that DJ Durkin, I should say, the defensive coordinator, that he's leaving after the Sugar Bowl. The school that you hear is Texas A&M, where obviously Tim Elko left to go to Duke as the head coach. There's an opening there for Jimbo, and I think Jimbo and DJ share the same agent, and there's some interest there that I think has gone a lot further than the rumor stage. So I think Lane's probably replacing both coordinators in one off season, and that happens when you win, and it ends up being kind of the